All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. So, one of my suggestions for many years was to sentence people that possess narcotics to to rehab. Anybody that gets caught with narcotics needs to be sentenced to state and local budgets. They're rural budgets, Appalachia, all these places. Not managing the problem doesn't work. The idea of locking them up for 2 years doesn't work. Half the state joints anyway have drugs running through them, if not actually not half, all of them, to some degree, I imagine. You know what they used to do? What they did to us? They take a tennis ball and they put narcotics in the tennis ball and then throw it over the wire, and then somebody would go and retrieve it. That's how they got the heroin in back then. We had a heroin overdose death. So they're like, well, obviously we got to figure something out. Something's here. That was a long time ago, like what, 30 years ago or something. So the way we have to do it, and again, Elon doesn't understand how the government works because we tax people and we do send the money back. But if we didn't do it that way, like, well, why don't you just let them keep the money? Because then the sheriff would like buy a new limousine with it. We this way, we manage where the money goes. No, they don't know best when they steal the money. It's everywhere. Obviously, embezzlement and deep state is everywhere. And of course, kickback and bribery and all that stuff. That's why we can't get anything done. So again, the idea of cutting the program isn't necessarily what you want to do. You want to manage the program. You want to make it work. And of course, cutting some staff that's not needed, obviously that's part of it. But usually you'll find something stupid, like contractors making some ungodly amount of money. It's not always honest, like the report they would submit. So the idea is that the federal government, I guess at this point, the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, creates a criminal justice program. Whereas if a judge will sentence a person that possesses opiates uh, to rehab, we will at least partially or fully fund it. Because it's not moving like it needs to be. I think Oregon might be on their way. You probably don't like their governor, but at least she's thinking about something there. Why is it so warm in here? So again, that's a very important thing to do. Now you can't survive on the world that you're all dreaming about. Argentina's barely going to survive it. Now, something you should understand that all the billionaires and all the crony governments are investing in Argentina. So you're not going to see the exact truth of what happens when you do that. They're trying to save it now before it crashes. So they can say, "Oh, see, our plan works. Just give us all our money." Of course, that would only last a season. Even if you can't, even if the Senate agrees to cancel all that, the Democrats are going to get in and open it back up. I mean, if people are suffering, which most likely will happen. I mean, they have spycraft operations from these billionaires, these corporations, and they cause people's lives to fail, and they make them homeless and all that stuff. And they go, "Oh, these people are no good because they're homeless." So again, we know who you've been all your lives, all of you. That's not the only place, the only time you do it. You're devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers, and you're taking people's livelihoods out and all the other things. And then if you can't do it with witchcraft, you bring in bullshit cops that are crooked. Whether it be federal, state, or local, or foreign, for that matter. So that's what we need to do. And again, when they get out, there's backup time. So it's like they're on rehab probation. See how you structure it? Then they go right back in if it comes up with something. Like a dirty urine, they go right back to rehab. So again, it's not quite prison. It's a technological prison, but not quite a prison. And again, we give them the benefit of the doubt where they can get on out and get some, what's the other type of rehab? Not inpatient, outpatient rehab. So again, it's like probation. They have to go to outpatient rehab. And the first sentence is not that long. Second sentence is longer. Until they live in rehab for like 2 years. That would help. I don't know if it's going to be perfect, but if you reduce the amount of opiates, of course, that'll work. But the question is, can you? It's money. And there's crooked people out there that aren't arresting it and just really even most likely making money off of it. And pay the right person, you can deal opiates. You don't pay the right person, they arrest you. And of course, they're not going to accept everybody because they got to arrest somebody to make it look good. 100%. So that would be probably one of your first initiatives. That fits with Pam Bondi's last pill mill thing. Right. So as I said on that post, most likely the court would want you to send that person back to the country. If you can't send them back to the country they came from, you send them back to the country they entered from. I think you get away with that one because you do everything you can to send them back to the country they came from. You can't. You say here, you came in from here. You're going back to Mexico. You decide what to do with them, right? And they could actually, send them back maybe to some other country, the country they came into Mexico from. But again, Maduro, if he doesn't take them back or someone, we can negotiate. I can't hear whatever that question was. Now I'm responding to questions that are coming in from the Trump machine. That's what that was. Question was, what are we going to do about all these addicted people? But I couldn't just hear that last one. So what are we? Oh, you have to wait. I can't hear you now. I'm driving. Whatever it is, or whoever it is. Well, there's probably some. Again, you're going to find government programs that you're going to get rid of that aren't going to work. But you can't just say, "Well, look, if we stop space exploration, I'm sure we balance the budget pretty quick." So again, we're not here. I'm not here to just play a game. You put it off for 5, 10 years. Maybe that's what we need to do before we start it up again. I think you spend money better building biospheres where when it does get hot in places like Arizona and Texas, people have places to live. Because that's the first emergency. What are you going to do when the climate goes crazy? What are you going to do? Power grids. Again, they're talking. I think they got that one going on with small nuclear plants. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. Not just space exploration. I mean, I don't know how much money you paid for people to buy EVs. That's a lot of money. Obviously, reducing that stuff is good for health, but it actually made it hotter. Well, I don't know, why you're spending that kind of money. At least for now. I mean, do it much slower. Like that's what I told Democrats. I said, what you're doing is you're doing too much, too soon. People telling you, yeah, we want this, but they're not going to be in power. Now, obviously, Trump changed, the Republican Party changed, like I said they needed to do to win. Now, the question is whether they keep that win. And again, Trump doesn't care. Like you said, he just wants to get in, take care of all the stuff he wants to take care of, and then Vance can run the office while he's out golfing. I thought he was going to retire, right? I can't hear that one. But so that's a big focus. So we won't move on from that for now. No, they changed their hardcore stance. I mean, right? Fuentes was screaming about it because Trump's like, "Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that." Fuentes like, "Ah, he's a rhino." Well, a lot of people bought into something. Let's see if you all do it. Now, the idea of crushing the government, that doesn't work. And again, Elon Musk is just talking. Trump and his people have to run their projections and their calculations and see if it's viable. Yeah, the old story, like Trump realized that in the first administration. The old story, you just throw people in prison, doesn't work. Now, back in nothing against that bill in the 90s. The crime bill was necessary. I was there. It was necessary, and it did work somewhat. But again, it was more like a temporary fix instead of a permanent fix. And again, that's where what I'm saying comes in, where I say, we have to sentence people to rehab. If they need to live 2 years in rehab, then so be it. And 2 years in custody rehab. They'll be brainwashed by the end of it. They'll be a rehab counselor after 2 years of that. Again, a lot of it's metaphysics also. Well, you just can't. So all these years in government, people that Elon hates, and obviously there's fraud, waste, and abuse. That's obvious. So again, I'm not going to that. But the one thing, again, it was my suggestion that we should be fiscally conservative. But that doesn't mean that you starve people. Because if you look at the program where you're planning to starve people, you could probably trim it. Like Elon spoke about some of the. We just have to make sure we don't. That may work better. See, again, universal health care would have worked if you didn't kill me. I could have figured out how to run it. Well, because some of it is we need people that are on SNAP and all that. We do, like, the public assistance people get farmed out to other types of help. So Medicaid works to a certain degree. Yeah, it would work. Like a combined package that if you go on public assistance, you get Medicaid and you have to, again, the urine once every so often, and then, we keep them healthy, and then we get them back to work if we can and all that. And then, of course, rehab would be part of that. Right, so instead of kicking people off of things, we put them in rehab or unhousing them. So we need people well, and that's the answer. But again, there's a movement, including very wealthy people, that aren't happy until other people are unwell. But there's calculations that went into the government, and they said if we spend $1 million here, we'll save 10 million over there. But like you look at it, you go, well, why are we doing this? So we don't have to spend the 10 million. You may not understand that. You may not even see it. I don't know. Who knows where the justification is, where it went, after so many years. So that's one of the issues. You can cut budget all day long, but it doesn't mean that that it's going to work in the long run. So again, it's already artificial boost. There's already artificial boost in Argentina. So again, the idea of cutting a budget and just cutting it and laughing and chainsawing doesn't always work. Now, I understand he moved some of his stuff to other locations. Well, they made a mess of it, but I've been saying it for years. You all are latecomers. That they're taking these programs and people are being enriched. I said a nonprofit is not a nonprofit when everybody's making more money than anybody else in any other type of corporation, because the corporation doesn't make any money. So they take the profit that the corporation would make and they pay it to the people that are working there, and you'll find the owners as part of that type of income. Yeah, you're all latecomers on a lot of stuff. So again, what's happening in Argentina is propped up. So and again, it's not the United States. Get it? The judiciary came up my mind. We're not Argentina. I'll even try. No, I mean, for them, they look at it as a power grab, a money grab. A lot of the judges are seeing it that way. Now you have to disprove them, and that's what they're thinking. Well, to disprove us, because we're looking at what you're planning, and the idea that a contractor gets to sit on a board that decides the budget, yeah, that's kind of weird. That's going to have a lot of pushback. And I know he's not going to give up his contracts unless he slashes them, right? Just slash your own contract. Well, I'm trying to guide you all as to what the best case scenario would be with what you want to do, but you can't get past the first step until the court decides whether Elon can do it. And I don't know about Vivek. I guess he has contracts. Well, you're allowed to create that position. You're allowed to create more than that, is what I think the think tank was saying. You're not out of bounds of creating this budgetary commission. And I guess that's really what it is. It's kind of a budgetary commission. Generally, that's what we call those things that the president creates. Uh, we don't call them departments. But the issue is with contract holders, they have a conflict of interest. I'm just telling you, that's where it is. I'm not giving you a heads up, I guess they call it. Now, again, I could be in a think tank all day and the bodies not receive it. So, again, I'm there with judges. I just don't know if they receive it or when they could receive it like 15 years from now. I'm actually supposed to be a judge, but it just, they destroyed my life before I even got out of grade school. I think that was a major thing that they wanted. Of course, I'd be like a rabbi judge. Ooh, that sounds familiar. No, it'd always be me. That's why Satan killed me. Oh, and you thought it was just the FBI. No, it's Satan. Like anybody that actually knew me in the FBI said it made no sense, any of it. Oh, wait, that person. Satan's driving me around the parking lot. What's he looking for? A parking spot? Well, you passed a bunch. Well, it's not the one I want. You don't get to pick my parking spot. You know, me, the big. I get stalked by like 1 million people in a lifetime, and and they want to act like I'm the stalker, right? And projection, psychological projection. It's everywhere. Why don't I go down the end? It's really busy. I guess it's Christmas shopping. And I guess Hanukkah shopping, Kwanzaa shopping. And yeah, like, what do you spend your time on? I mean, they spend their time dispelling the fact that Kwanzaa should ever exist. I mean, but that's the point. Like, if your government spends time like dispelling Kwanzaa, I mean, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. You're causing a drag on your administration. Well, stay peaceful.